Hey everyone, I'm Jen, one of the writers at JetPens. We asked 4 artists on the JetPens team what they'd buy if they had $50 to spend at our online stationery store. We're back with 2 more sets in this video. If you want to see what I picked, make sure to watch part 1 linked in the card above. Let's get into it.
Hey guys, I'm Amelia, and I run the JetPens social media accounts, create our writing samples, and narrate some of our videos. I'm also an illustrator, when I can find the time. I work with mixed media, usually a combination of pen and ink, acrylic paint, and digital. I've recently been getting back into sketching, so if I had $50 to spend at JetPens, I'd use it to bolster my sketching kit. First up, I'd get a lead holder. Don't get me wrong, I love a good old-fashioned wooden pencil, but you can only use it so much before it gets awkward to hold. Lead holders are going to stay the same length no matter how much I use them. Plus, I'll be able to switch between any lead type I want without having to buy a whole new pencil. Their large lead size is great because I can cut the point into whatever shape I need. I added in a lead sharpener so I can get the sharpest point possible. And, as a bonus, I can collect the lead shavings to use later, for pieces that need large areas of delicate shading. For erasers, I added in a block eraser for quickly knocking out large areas, and a retractable eraser for precision work. The Tombow Mono eraser is only 2.3 millimeters wide. That's pretty precise for an eraser. Alright, so my absolute favorite art supplies for illustration are dip pens, and it's about time I started sketching with them too. I've already amassed a bit of a collection, but there's always room for more. They're small. I chose Speedball's Hunt 101 nib because I'm a big fan of flexible nibs and fine points. I can use its full range of flexibility for expressive work, or dial it back for a delicate monoline look. I already have this nib, but I'll need an extra to take sketching with me. I'll also need to throw in another nib holder so I can actually use it. The Tachikawa T25 nib holder has 2 different sized mounts and can accommodate the vast majority of my nibs. Now, a good nib needs a good ink, so I've got to go with Dr. P.H. Martin's. Their inks have a great consistency and, most importantly, are totally waterproof. I can go over my lines with watercolors, markers, and even Copics without them smudging. To finish up my sketching kit, I'll need a sketchbook. It can be tricky to find a sketchbook that works well with dip pens, especially if you like to pair it with paint like I do. The paper has to be very smooth to keep the flexible nibs from catching, and it has to be able to handle the wetness of both the ink and the paint. Stillman & Byrne's Epsilon sketchbook checks all those boxes. Both the Zeta series and Epsilon series work, but I prefer having more pages over thicker paper. And I find 150 GSM is thick enough for the way I work.
Hi everyone, my name is Courtney and I'm a warehouse associate here at JetPens. I've always been inspired by traditional media artwork seen in anime and manga. I enjoy working with various media, but working with watercolor is by far my favorite. Since I already have quite the collection of art supplies, today I'll be sharing items I would purchase if I had to start again from scratch. Let's get started. Starting with the highest price item on my list, the Kuretake Gansai Tambi watercolor palette. It might be intimidating to use because of its appearance, but I think this palette is beginner-friendly and can produce a wide variety of colors. I don't like mixing within the pans themselves, so I paired this with the Akashia Asai watercolor mini palette. This palette can hold a decent amount of paint despite its small size, and the cute flower shape motif brings smiles all around. As for paper, I always reach for my Maruma Nu Soho sketchbook for first drafts, sketching, and color swatching. At this price point, it holds up nicely even with a few washes of paint, pencils, and fine liners. While it tends to warp, it gets the job done and I find it works perfectly with the way I use it. When drawing an initial first draft, I like to use a red colored pencil. The Faber-Castell Polychromos pencil is water resistant, which means that I can still see my drawing while painting. After finishing the final sketch in pencil, I then add color. If I had to choose a single brush for painting, I would go with the Round 8 Royal & Langnickel Zen watercolor brush. The flexible round tip can create precise lines and can also hold a good amount of water for washes. Finally, my last 2 items, the Yasutoma Niji pearlescent watercolor set and the Deleter 2 manga ink. I enjoy adding some sparkle to some of my artwork, so using the pearlescent watercolors adds a fun touch. It's best to use when the underpainting is completely dry, and the same goes for the Deleter white manga ink too. Using a brush or dip pen, you can hide blemishes and add any final details to any piece.
What would you get if you had $50 to spend at JetPens? You can shop everything we featured at JetPens.com, the place for pen and stationery lovers. Thanks for watching, and remember to like and subscribe to our channel.